Welcome. Um, Today I just wanted to talk about some things that's coming up. Some of the things I've been posting, like a lot of my oracle cards are talking about doing shadow work and talking about, you know, triggers and the lower world and all these things. And, it reminds me of things that I've worked on in the past, things that I'm still currently working on. We don't heal everything. We constantly will be working on these triggers, the shadow parts of ourselves, all of our lives. But we can break patterns. We can absolutely stop the patterns of them, and that's what shadow work is. It's noticing triggers and stopping them and working on them continuously until the pattern is remade. Kind of like your neural networks, or like a computer in your brain, and you're rewiring the brain. So I just wanted to do a little thing here today, talking about my experience and my past and how I overcame some things. And I've got some good books here that I'm going to reference, and you are welcome to look them up, order them. They're very helpful. But this is talking about, like, we all have our vices, right? We all have our things that we do. And I see it in people around me, my loved ones, where we get stuck in a thought pattern, right? And it affects our physical body and then our reality. So I'm going to try to break it down as simply as I can and not repeat myself, because I know I do that, okay? So back in 2016, I battled, it was actually probably 2014, somewhere around there. I battled depression really bad. I was in a very deep depression, and it spiraled out of control, and it kind of like sneaks up on you to the point where you're so far deep in the hole with it, it's really hard to climb out, right? And I think some people can get that. Other people, and depression is very similar to the thought patterns of drug addiction. And I mean, yes, drug addiction uses a chemical response that your body is requiring, but the loop effects, the thought patterns, the loop effects are very, very similar. You can use these tools for depression also towards drug addiction. Depression and drug addiction go hand in hand. Luckily for me, I'm not an addict besides coffee and cigarettes. I mean, I am an addict in that way. But, so depression, you get into this thought pattern where you're constantly thinking of the negative. You're thinking negatively on yourself. Usually it's self-negative talk, suicidal thoughts. They're constantly playing in the background, and sometimes you're aware of them and sometimes you're not, and they're constantly, you can't see the brighter things. All you're seeing is the negative aspects of life, and you're tired of struggling, and your outside world is showing the same. It's showing you struggle, it's showing you hardship, it's showing you, you're right, he doesn't like me, you're right, he keeps criticizing me. For one, depression, ask yourself who you're around. Who are you living with? What are they saying? Even if it's small, little criticizing moments over the years, that they're very subtle or they add up. These do take a heavy toll on your mental health. So be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with when it comes to depression. And sometimes you have to leave situations because it's not good for your mental health. If you've got somebody constantly criticizing you or telling you you're not going to get that, or why didn't you, wear this outfit, or very controlling, but they're subtle. Even the subtleness of it can start to wear over on time. You fix it, you try to fix it with the person. But if it continues, you got to look at your mental health. How are you feeling about yourself? If it's not good, then, eliminate the problem in the environment. That's to help your depression. Take yourself out of abusive situations, number one. You'll feel 100% better once you do that. But the battle continues, okay? Even when you take yourself out of abusive, let's say they're severely abusive situations, the abuse doesn't stop. It doesn't stop there. The battle starts to begin internally, okay? You realize the damage that's done afterwards. The negative self-talk that you were feeling during that whole time in relationships. The spiritual war that's been going on internally, and what you've been programmed by that person to believe about yourself. That's where the second battle begins with depression. And then identifying the negative self-talk that you're thinking. Okay? So, yeah, I'm jumping, I guess. But 2014, I lost a lot of people. Sent me in a really bad tailspin of depression, and relationship-wise, there's certain things that weren't helping that too. In that area, there was some help. There's not help, and battling it, and it made it worse. But for me, 3 years of it, and I was getting on my last rope. I didn't feel anything positive. I didn't feel anything spiritual. I felt like I was left spiritually. I didn't even feel like God. I'd pray to God, pray to Source, please. And it was when I was on my last leg, like last day of dealing with it. I was not good, and nobody knew. I never talked about it. It was all here. And that's the scary part when they say, the ones that do it don't talk about it. I was one of them, and I wouldn't say I would have, because my kids kept me here. But it was a struggle, because I realized the pattern. I couldn't stop. It felt like I couldn't stop the pattern going on. It's just every day. And then one day I had prayed when I was on my last leg, and I felt spirit come over me. I felt this blissfulness, this hug, this warmth of saying, I'm here, I'm here. And I knew something was there. It was something. It was like, I've been in the dark for so long, and I felt this comfort come wash over me. And I do get emotional. But that changed my life, okay? So then the next day, I came across a video from Jacob Israel, and he was talking about, you're more than you think you know. You are more than you know. And I started listening to motivational speakers, because when I listened to him, it got me pumped up, it got me feeling good, it got me inspired, it gave me hope. So I started listening to more motivational speakers on the daily, and getting in my spirit, and that fed my soul, bringing that light into the dark. Even just by listening to it, started to change my thought process. I would force myself to listen to positive speakers, because there was nothing else, and I knew it was helping. So then I would catch myself in these thought patterns, and I'd stop, refocus my thoughts. If I was worried about something, I would catch myself worrying about it. Sometimes it'd be going on for days. And I'd catch myself then and stop. What can I focus on that brings happiness? What can I focus on creating in the future, like my dreams? What do I want to do? My goals, ambitions. I started redirecting my focus into that. On top of listening to motivational speakers. And I've always listened to heavy metal music, and I still love some of my harder stuff. I love the technical music. So just because I listen to the heavy metal stuff still sometimes doesn't mean I'm like dark or anything. But I did have to back up. I had to back away from it because it does create a sadness. And even though it helped me through sometimes, which it does, it can give you that way to release emotions that you're dealing with. But a constant barrage of that type of music wasn't helping. So I backed away from that quite a bit and continued with the motivational speakers. And then I started getting interested in things, studying and learning things and keeping my mind occupied. Keeping myself occupied, my hands busy, are key factors of dragging yourself out of that hole. What are you interested in? Ancient cultures, healing, Reiki medicine, those things I was interested in. All that kind of stuff. Aliens, whatever. But it's about directing that focus onto things you're interested in that help you grow and keep your mind out of the gutter. And also being mindful of where your thoughts are going and stopping it. Learning that you can look at it as an outside force, Oh shit, like, got this negative talk going on, like, I'm gonna stop it here. Because sometimes our brains just go on autopilot. And they'll be like saying shit, controlling the scene back there, and you're not even realizing it. So one of the things is too, like, when you're dealing with depression or addiction and you're in that darkness, that hole, it really all comes from your thoughts, the way you're thinking, and up here starts to overflow, and then it flows down into your aura, right? And it gets so full, your container gets so full of this negative, it's overflowing outside of you. And once it starts to overflow, when you're like so overfilled with negative energy and the thoughts and the depression, it starts to manifest into the reality. It starts to affect your daily living, and then also your physical health. That's why they say stress is the #1 killer, because it's actually overflowing into your energetic body and then affecting you physically. So what can we do? Like, we can create our own reality by simply being mindful enough to change our thought patterns. There is forces that work against you, but you have to continuously work at it. It's not gonna like do itself overnight. It's something you have to be mindful of. When you start to feel that way, you could create, within years, you can start creating what you want to do, the way you want to live, the way your health can change dramatically, all by your thoughts. So there is something to it when we create our reality by your thoughts. I've been doing it. I've been seeing it. I've physically have changed so much by changing the way I think. That is the key. So now, I don't need to go on and on. There's books about it, okay? So the first book that I remember coming out is called The Secret. The Secret's got, it kind of explains it too, by Rhonda Byrne. So The Secret. Another good book that I definitely recommend is Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. that teaches you about how to create peace in your life, you know, and creating the world you want. And then there's the Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. So check out those books. I'll list them down below. But yeah, this is part of doing that shadow work, is noticing what is the machine behind the thinking. What is going on? Being mindful. What is being presented in your reality? Where are you lacking that you need fulfillment? You know, understanding these things, but mainly your thoughts. If you're constantly worried about money or how you're going to do things, you're going to start showing that, you know, in your physical reality. You're going to continuously put yourself in that position of, you know, stressing about money. I mean, yeah, there's times where I stress about money. Everybody does. We live in this stupid ass world where it's getting pretty hard. But, you know, I stress about it for a second, but I have to let it go because there's nothing I can do. And if there's, you know, if I don't have it, I don't have it. But I know that it's coming. I know that I will get it when I need it, and that I'll figure out a way. You know, I know what I have to do. So it's just about letting it go. Stress about it for a minute, but don't go on days, weeks, months of the same perpetual thought process, because it wreaks havoc on your body and then your future reality. You're bringing it in. You're bringing more of it in. So, if something's not working in your environment, if something's not working in your life, you got to change it. If you're not happy, change it. You know, we have the ability to do that. There's my lesson for today. So I hope you got something from this, and yeah.